Bird Box. There have been many theories explaining the creatures from this film, but I'd like to make a video explaining the creatures based on what we're told. There's really no way to know what these things or where they come from, what they are, but from what we see in the film and from what we're told, we can form theories. I'd also like to answer some questions that viewers might be left with after watching the film. Here's a breakdown of the creatures from Bird Box. It goes without saying that a spoiler warning. Planning on watching the film, please watch it before watching this video. Now, we know a few things about the creatures. They will not go indoors. Either they cannot or they just will not. They seem somewhat physical. They can speak or mimic, and they have some form or knowledge that they shouldn't have. I'd also like to talk about the followers, the people who have seen the creatures, and the children. Can they see the creatures? So let's begin. The creatures can not go indoors, or they will not go indoors. They seem to stay outdoor. Now, during the initial epidemic, people are told to stay indoors. The group is protected in the house and even in the car from the creatures outside. Now, this can be from the creatures having a fear of being trapped, which is my personal understanding of maybe why they wouldn't want to go indoors, but it could also be that the creatures are being likened to something natural. The reaction of the birds also leads merit to this. The film lets us know that they are nearby, usually with leaves moving in the wind, often in a strange circular motion. So they seem to be somewhat physical. This leads me to conclude that they are indeed a physical being. They are physically there. They can be spotted through a camera. They can be captured on film, and their effects still hold true. If they are physically in the world and they are captured on camera. Also say that they are physical as you or I. Now, they don't seem to have the capability to physically harm people by physical means, by pushing, dragging, throwing, and such. It seems like it would be easy for them to throw something through a window or something like that to kind of spook people, to get them to look out the window, to get them to see them. Now that brings me to my third point. They can speak or they can mimic. We hear them speak toward the end of the film. To me, there would be far more clever things that could be said to have them remove their blindfolds. The children could hear, the children could hear Tom's voice, and that could be something that would definitely make them possibly remove their blindfolds. They could use more clever suggestions to get them to remove their blindfolds, but they don't. They simply do the mimic of the voice. And that brings me to the fourth point. The entity is aware of what to manifest itself into or what to show, what would lead someone to kill themselves. Douglas's wife claimed to see her deceased mother. Others, like Mallory's sister, was puzzled and frightened by what she saw right before she had killed herself. This brings me to an interesting idea. Now, these creatures are either forming themselves into something that the people would never want to see, or it is in such a way that a human being could not comprehend what the creatures are. They could not understand it. So some of the questions that I think people are left with are, why do they have followers? Like, what motivates the followers? And can the children see them? This is a question I've been asked a few times. Now, why do they have followers? It's stated that people in the film seem to have some sort of mental instability. While the film indicates that these individuals are suffering from mental health issues, that seems overly simplified and a poor representation of the individuals who actually dealt with mental health issues. A more comprehensive explanation could be that the followers, these unaffected, were more vulnerable than the rest of the population becoming infected. The normal person or one of the people who aren't the followers simply cannot handle or comprehend what they are seeing. I wonder if this was something that occurred originally, or if it was something that was result as a means of the creature to effectively attack those it couldn't reach indoors. As we said earlier, the creature doesn't want to go indoors, so it makes me wonder if this is a way for the creature to attack those that it cannot reach. The man in the grocery store is described as being off, but a nice guy nonetheless. They, the followers, seem to be able to function in this new world. They plan their attacks, they drive cars, they're revealing something they believe in is something divine. The man Gary that they let into the house explains what these followers were doing. They were forcing people to look. Now, why would he tell them that? Why would he tell them what he's going to do to them later? Is he foreshadowing? Or perhaps he's hoping that they will volunteer to look instead of being forced. Maybe they will see his ways without him having to force them to do so. These are possible explanations, but I also believe he could be describing what happened to him, which makes a lot of sense because he's showing them how he became the way he is. Maybe he didn't realize that he would be one of these people that after seeing them would become one of their followers. The followers or affected people, or however you want to call them, do not want to seem to hurt anyone. They don't go out of their way to hurt people. Their simple and only goal is to get people to look at the creatures. If they have to hurt people or even kill to make that necessary, then they'll do so. But they will sacrifice themselves in order to get people to see the creature. So these people are either controlled or, for one reason or another, they believe what they say. They think that these creatures are beautiful and they want everyone to share the same experience that they have shared. So it has to be one of the two. They're either being controlled or they're all having this revolutionary experience when they see the creature, and that's what brings them to be the followers. This brings me to the discussion of the children. I have a question on what if a very young child, possibly an infant, saw the creature? Would that child become affected in the same way as the other characters in the film? Would the child be suicidal? It's interesting because on the boat we hear a man trying to get the children to remove their blindfold, and we can see how upset Mallory gets, and she's protecting the children. Obviously there is some sort of danger in the children seeing the creature, just like anybody else. But here's the thing. Mallory also has to decide later which child is a possible sacrifice. The children are in danger here, but there's no evidence to support that they would be affected the same way. And I say this because they are very young, and much like the followers, if there's a specific mental deficiency or something that the creature can take hold of, then perhaps the children would be able to comprehend or handle seeing the creature. In the very end, the girl is left, and the camera lingers on her. Now, this is either building tension, or this is to show that it's what possibly is the moments before she took her blindfold off. She is afraid of Mallory. She's running away from her, and at the same time, we're shown that the girl doesn't pay attention or doesn't take situations seriously like she should. She wanders from the boat when she's not supposed to. It's a life or death situation, and she knows this, but she still chooses to wander. Now, this is what brings me to her removing the blindfold. I believe, especially because of how long we spend with her, it's possible that she did take her blindfold off. Maybe she's not affected like the others. If a child is young enough and they see the creature, maybe they won't be affected. What are these creatures? It doesn't matter where they came from. Rather, it's simply something that our minds cannot handle. Are they from another dimension? What would that look like? Can it be described? Would you be able to describe one thing without using something else to possibly describe it? What if it was something so beyond your understanding, your comprehension, that your mind cannot take it? Your mind is broken. Maybe they force the person looking to kill themselves, but I don't think so. Even seeing one on camera can break a healthy human mind, which makes me believe that it is something that they physically look like that is just completely beyond our understanding or our recognition. The only explanation is something that couldn't possibly be understood by simply seeing it. We lose all control. Charlie offers his theory that the creatures are demons who reveal themselves as a person's greatest fear or deepest loss. He uses religion or spirituality to explain this. Whether scientific, supernatural, cognitive, whatever it may be, these creatures are the utter destruction of humanity. And I think that there are two theories. I think there are two clear theories that can solve what the creatures are. I think you can have your demons, and that's Charlie's offering, which is in the film for a specific reason. It could be opening your imagination, or it could be that is the absolute explanation of the creatures. And these demons could be represented in a very natural way. They could not want to go inside. They could only stay in like the natural surroundings, like we see with the leaves. But there's also another explanation. They could be something from another world. Now that could be something alien, but I think more clearly would be another dimension. It would be something that the human mind couldn't take. And I think the more that we spend on this, the more that it shows that it's not necessarily the creatures that are forcing people to kill themselves. I full-heartedly believe that it's simply the human mind cannot take what the creatures are showing them. The human mind is broken when it sees this creature. Unless your mind is already substantially changed or substantially abnormal in a sense, that it could understand, it could see these creatures. And as we said earlier, it's either that they are understanding, they're understanding and the creature is taking over them, controlling them, or that it's simply they experience something that they feel is otherworldly and beautiful, and they want others to experience that also. So I hope that cleared things up. I think that at the end there, the point I wanted to make was that how I believe these creatures are physical, they are otherworldly, and they can be captured on film, which again makes me think that these creatures are physical. They don't see you and then decide how to attack you, much like Charlie says. I don't believe that at all. I believe because of the facts of the film, we can show and put together that these creatures are there, and because they're there, our minds can't take it. I'm hoping that explains it. This could have been a much shorter video, but I really wanted to cover some things like the children. I wanted to cover the followers. I think those are the two big things on the film that people have questions on, and people don't really, they're just enjoying the ride, but then they have to sit back later and try to figure out why all these things are happening. Hopefully, if there's something that you wanted to comment on, you can leave a comment below, and we can further the discussion. I'd like to make another video about Bird Box and comparing it to another horror film. So maybe if this video proves to be somewhat popular and people seem interested, I can make that video also. Thank you for watching.